I want to get started. So we're here to talk for a minute about broadcasting your morning announcements live on air using Google Hangouts on Air, which is a fantastically free tool that if your administration has allowed Google Hangouts on Air in your division, or allowed, well, we'll talk more about that in a second. Basically, if there's some permissions set up, it's free to use, it's incredibly secure, and if you're sitting in this room right now with Wi-Fi and a Chromebook, you have all of the necessary hardware you need to pull this off. So I'm going to tell you right now that the point of entry for this is very minimal, and most everyone has everything they already need to make this happen. You can see there on the first slide that I've got a little link to a form. That's the form you'd fill out if you want my cheat sheet. So I distribute cheat sheets instead of giving you the link outright. I like to be able to email you that. And the reason I'm collecting your email is because as I update my cheat sheets with new information or with great new tools, I learn so much from you when I do these sessions. As I update those, I like to be able to email everyone that I've emailed it to and say, hey, I've updated the resource. You can go back and check it out. Unless you're someone who just refreshes the page, and then you won't need that email update. But if you want that cheat sheet and you want the information on it, please do fill out that form, and it'll be a way that I can get in touch with you. On slide 2 there, you'll see that there's a link to what I call my digital sandbox. And a digital sandbox is just a space where we can talk with each other. Everyone in this room, in fact, it's just a Google drawing, and it's a space where you can put questions, ideas, expectations. Anyone with that link can edit that document. Hopefully, it doesn't have anything on it. If it does, I apologize. It's from one of my previous sessions. Just go ahead and delete the stuff out of it. Yeah, we do a little drawing and keep the big one at the top. Oh no, just delete everything. That's a space where we can ask questions. So at the end of the session, I'm going to go into that space and look for questions that I might not have answered. I'm going to look for resources. In one of my previous sessions, someone used this space as where they took notes. And they made a text box off on the side, and it's where they took their, like, these are the big ideas I want to take away, which is really cool because everyone else had access to what they thought was a cool idea and nobody missed anything. So that's my thinking space and where you can ask questions. Now, please do not think that you cannot stop me while I'm talking. I totally encourage you to say, hold on a minute, you got too technical there, or I have a question, I'd like you to answer it now instead of at the end. Please do stop me. But if you don't want to do that, there you go. All right, next slide is, sorry, I have to say that. Next slide, slide 3. Those items there at the bottom, those are the links again if you need them. So we're talking about Google Hangouts on Air, and we're talking about how to use it to broadcast the morning announcements. And in that conversation, it's really, really, really important that we keep the main thing, which is that kids are empowered to use their own voice and their own personality to connect with their peers. All right, that's really, like, if you wanted to be technical with the definition of what's going on in one of these broadcasts, that's what's happening. That's the underlying current that is so amazing about putting students in front of a camera and empowering their voice as, you know, the news guy in the school. This is going to elevate them to a new level socially, and so it's important that you recognize that as what is most important. And we're going to talk a little bit about principles and some of those principles that like to have their death grip on the really boring announcements because they really do think that they're saying some really important things. And while oftentimes those are critical announcements that come on that everyone needs to hear right now, regardless of what you're doing, are very critical, when you really start to look at the grand scheme of what's being said in the morning on those announcements, a lot of it isn't as critical as we'd like to think, or can be made a lot more fun when you let the kids do it. So the main thing needs to say the main thing. There's a couple of things here that I like to I like to say that are important. One, you've got to have comfy kids, meaning they need to be comfortable in front of a camera. They need to be comfortable with obligations, showing up. While this is a good learning experience for those things, a little bit of that initially isn't a bad idea. You might think of having them do a little application process or identifying them in a different way. I will tell you that the kids that I see that accelerate at this the most are the kids that never sit still in your classroom, that tell all of the jokes and want to be the center of attention. And one of the beautiful things about this being the main thing is that that's the kid that needs this opportunity. That's the kid that you're not sure if they're going to graduate because they can't close their mouth long enough to hear what's going on, right? But suddenly they become this elevated citizen, and now you have this leverage point to say, Jonathan, can I talk to you in the hallway for a second? Dude, you're the news guy. All of these kids look up to you. You can't be acting like this and be in this elevated status. And now you can relate to them. Look, I'm a teacher. When I go to the gas station and people see me buying a six-pack, that says something about me. And I know I'm totally allowed to do that, but it's like, I don't shop where my students shop because I'm always at work. I have an image to uphold. You have an image to uphold. You need to act appropriately in my class. And now they have this identity that they want to maintain, and they're developing these social skills, and it's awesome. That is awesome. And that's the main thing, right? Who cares if he messes up on camera? Who cares if you forgot to say that tater tots were for lunch or that there's going to be a fire drill at 2 o'clock? That's not the main thing. Right? You do need a little bit of teacher buy-in. I don't know of a way to automatically turn on projectors and automatically have a website pop up and automatically have the video play, right? But when you're in the main office and you pick up the little phone thing and you hit *99 or whatever, all of the speakers in that PA system turn on and you can't not hear it unless everyone is talking, right? I don't know how to do that with this system, but I think that I have techniques that you can use to create a system of buy-in from the kids that it's going to be mutiny if you don't put it up there. All right, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Let me speed things up a little bit here. You got to be a little easygoing, and you need to understand that this is going to be a fun process as much as it is an important element of the school procedures for administering announcements. Okay, so relax. All right, so there are some essentials that I like to say are critical for this to work. One, no heroes. My superintendent in our school division is a systems thinking person. So he follows this like everything should happen in systems. There should be no silos and there should be no heroes. When I say no heroes, what I mean is if you are the only person who knows how to set this up, you have become the hero. And if you're sick, what are we going to do? Right? I'm telling you right now, this is so, I have fifth graders that can get this thing all the way set up. The only thing the teacher's there for is to put in their password and like make sure that the announcements got from the office down to the library. That's pretty minimal stuff that you can have just about anybody do, especially if, you know, the password is known by 3 or 4 critical people in the building. It's not that big of a deal. So no heroes, and don't try and own it like a hero either. Let the kids be empowered. Let them know how to open the laptop and go to Hangouts and log, you know, go to the right places. Just save that like password so that it's protected. One of the other essentials that I think is really important, and obviously there's ways around all this stuff. These aren't hard and fast, but I think the system that I've created, I think these are essentials. One, the two there is that you have new emails. And what I mean by that is that you contact your IT dude and you say, hey, IT dude, I need 2 email accounts created. I want something like, okay, for example, I teach in Hampton City Schools. So I want an email that is HCS-PHS, Phoebus High School, News 1. Say that again, HCS-PHS, News 1. Now, all the crazy acronyms aren't important. What's important is that you have a 1 and an HCS-news 2. Okay, you have an email 1 and an email 2. And I'm going to talk about email 1 and email 2 when I start to talk about some of the nuts and bolts of this. But I see that as a critical thing. And here's why. Because you want the announcements in the news. Again, there's no heroes. If it's using your email account, and we're broadcasting, because when you do a hangout on air, it's between 2 email accounts. If it's yours, you are the hero. You don't want to hand out your password to 4 of your colleagues so that if you're not there that day, they can log into theirs. Right? You want it to be sort of this autonomous thing that can live on its own. So I suggest you go out there, you get 2 new emails made. Pretty solid internet connection is going to be critical. So if you've got that spot in your school that you know is kind of like that Wi-Fi dead zone, that's not where you want to set up your broadcasting studio. Whatever computers are doing this little chat between each other, they need to be able to have a pretty good connection. And in fact, if you can get the computer that is what I like to call the control computer, if you can get that one connected to a hard line, or no, I'm sorry, the camera, email 2, connected to a hard line, meaning plugged in, way better quality. And then one, I'm pretty certain this is an absolute hard and fast essential, the last one there, is that teachers need to have access to Google Plus and YouTube, not students, not the students. Because the students aren't the ones watching this live on their devices. It's the teacher who's projecting it up on the screen. The teachers need to have access to those 2 things. Okay, so what the heck is happening here? Raise your hand if you've used Google Hangouts before. Okay, so when we do, I'm sorry, I'm actually broadcasting this live in a broadcast, and I'm going to stop it. Bye, guys. You've been great.